Hello, YouTube viewers. Here is more of the Lord's word on homosexuality. And remember, to my family, I neither support nor condone that lifestyle, and I'm not taking any of these videos off. Thank you. Just a moment, and it'll begin. 1 second.
Chapter 18. The Lord appeared again to Abraham while he was camped near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. One day, about noon, as Abraham was sitting at the entrance to his tent, he suddenly noticed 3 men standing nearby. He got up and ran to meet them, welcoming them by bowing low to the ground.
"My lord," he said, "if it pleases you, stop here for a while. Rest in the shade of this tree while my servants get some water to wash your feet. Let me prepare some food to refresh you. Please stay a while before continuing on your journey."
"All right," they said.
"Do as you have said."
So Abraham ran back to the tent and said to Sarah,
"Quick, get 3 measures of your best flour and bake some bread."
Then Abraham ran out to the herd and chose a fat calf and told his servant to hurry and butcher it. When the food was ready, he took some cheese curds and milk and the roasted meat, and he served it to the men. As they ate, Abraham waited on them there beneath the trees.
"Where is Sarah, your wife?"
they asked him.
"In the tent,"
Abraham replied. Then one of them said,
"About this time next year I will return, and your wife Sarah will have a son."
Now Sarah was listening to this conversation from the tent nearby. And since Abraham and Sarah were both very old, and Sarah was long past the age of having children, she laughed silently to herself.
How could a worn-out woman like me have a baby?
She thought.
And when my master, my husband, is also so old.
Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'Can an old woman like me have a baby?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? About a year from now, just as I told you, I will return, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she denied that she had laughed. But he said, "That is not true. You did laugh." Then the men got up from their meal and started on toward Sodom. Abraham went with them part of the way. "Should I hide my plan from Abraham?" the Lord asked. "For Abraham will become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. I have singled him out so that he will direct his sons and their families to keep the way of the Lord and do what is right and just. Then I will do for him all that I have promised." So the Lord told Abraham, "I have heard that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah are extremely evil, and that everything they do is wicked. I am going down to see whether or not these reports are true, then I will know." The 2 other men went on toward Sodom, but the Lord remained with Abraham for a while. Abraham approached him and said,
"Will you destroy both innocent and guilty alike? Suppose you find 50 innocent people there within the city. Will you still destroy it and not spare it for their sakes? Surely you wouldn't do such a thing. Destroying the innocent with the guilty? Why, you would be treating the innocent and the guilty exactly the same. Surely you wouldn't do that. Should not the judge of all the earth do what is right?"
And the Lord replied, "If I find 50 innocent people in Sodom, I will spare the entire city for their sake." Then Abraham spoke again.
"Since I have begun, let me go on and speak further to my Lord, even though I am but dust and ashes. Suppose there are only 45. Will you destroy the city for lack of 5?
And the Lord said, "I will not destroy it if I find 45. Then Abraham pressed his request further.
Suppose there are only 40.
And the Lord replied, "I will not destroy it if there are 40.
Please don't be angry, my Lord.
Abraham pleaded.
Let me speak. Suppose only 30 are found.
And the Lord replied, "I will not destroy it if there are 30. Then Abraham said,
Since I have dared to speak to the Lord, let me continue. Suppose there are only 20.
And the Lord said, "Then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Finally, Abraham said,
Lord, Please do not get angry if I will speak but once more. Suppose only 10 are found there.
And the Lord said, Then for the sake of the 10 I will not destroy it. The Lord went on his way when he had finished his conversation with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his tent. Chapter 19. That evening the two angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom, and Lot was sitting there as they arrived. When he saw them, he stood up to meet them. Then he welcomed them and bowed low to the ground.
My lords,
He said,
come to my home to wash your feet and be my guests for the night. You may then get up in the morning as early as you like and be on your way again.
Oh no,
they said.
we'll just spend the night out here in the city square.
But Lot insisted. So at last they went home with him. He set a great feast before them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast. After the meal, as they were preparing to retire for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city,
Listen to this.
surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot,
Where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out so we can have sex with them.
That's
Lot
evil.
stepped outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind him.
Please, my brothers.
That's why the Lord destroyed Sodom and
Don't do
Gomorrah,
such a
because of
wicked
homosexuality and other sins
Look,
like that.
I have 2 virgin daughters. Do with them as you wish. But leave these men alone, for they are under my protection.
Stand back. Who do you think you are? We let you settle among us, and now you are trying to tell us what to do? We'll treat you far worse than those other men.
And they lunged at Lot and began breaking down the door. But the two angels reached out and pulled Lot in and bolted the door. Then they blinded the men of Sodom, so they couldn't find the doorway.
Do you have any other relatives here in the city?
The angels asked.
Get them out of this place, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone else, for we will destroy the city completely. The stench of the place has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it.
So Lot rushed out to tell his daughters' fiancés.
Quick, get out of this city. The Lord is going to destroy it.
But the young men thought he was only joking. At dawn the next morning, the angels became insistent.
Hurry!
They said to Lot,
Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here. Get out of here right now, or you will be caught in the destruction of the city.
When Lot still hesitated, the angel seized his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and rushed them to safety outside the city, for the Lord was merciful.
Run for your lives!
The angels warned.
Do not stop anywhere in the valley, and don't look back. Escape to the mountains, or you will die.
Oh no, my lords, please.
Lot begged.
You have been so kind to me and saved my life, and you have granted me such mercy. But I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. Don't you see how small it is? Then my life will be saved.
All right,
The angel said,
I will grant your request. I will not destroy that little village. But hurry, for I can do nothing until you are there.
From that time on, that village was known as Zoar. The sun was rising as Lot reached the village. Then the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the heavens on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them, along with the other cities and villages of the plain, eliminating all life, people, plants, and animals alike. But Lot's wife looked back as she was following along behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. The next morning Abraham was up early and hurried out to the place where he had stood in the Lord's presence. He looked out across the plain to Sodom and Gomorrah and saw columns of smoke and fumes as from a furnace rising from the cities there. But God had listened to Abraham's request and kept Lot safe, removing him from the disaster that engulfed the cities on the plain. Afterward Lot left Zoar because he was afraid of the people there, and he went to live in a cave in the mountains with his 2 daughters. One day the older daughter said to her sister,
Okay,
There isn't a man anywhere in this entire...
now, YouTube viewers, you hear that? The Lord is merciful. He will protect his people and people that love him. But homosexuality and sins like that are not good. That's why the Lord destroyed those 2 cities. And if America and other nations who do that do not repent, the same will be for them.